Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th Street Journal podcast. Episode, oh god, what even episode are we on? Episode 4, I think? My goodness. My name is Alan, also known as Dragosi. We got a small crew this week. First off, we got Braxton, Coach Braxton. What's up, Braxton? How's it going, man?
It's going good. Excited to be here. I know I took last week off. John took my spot,
Yeah,
but I'm excited to be back this week.
cool, man. Good, glad to have you back. And last but not least, we have the Pope himself. What is up, Pokey?
What's going on, Drago?
Oh, man, very excited to be back to doing this again. We took a couple of weeks off. We had some stuff come up with some people, but you know what? We're back at it again. We're kicking it. We're rocking. We got some sweet stuff to talk about today. So, we're going to jump into it. First thing here we got on the docket, I guess kind of a highlight, of what we're going to be talking about. Amonkhet Remastered Release on Arena a couple weeks back or a week back. We just had a BNR announcement today.
Braxton, good to see you both this week.
Whoa, that was weird. I just heard some audio thing going on. You there, Pokey?
Was that me? I hope it wasn't.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I heard a delayed Pokey introduction come through the audio. Anyways, we have Amonkhet Remastered to talk about. We have a BNR that just happened this morning. The Zendikar Rising announcement trailer was released, and then also we had this past weekend we had Command Fest Online 2 with the Commander Legends and Commander Collection Green products being talked about and revealed more about in a panel that kicked off the event. And then also we have some at the very end, some cool stuff to announce that 10th Street's going to be doing here very soon to talk. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about some of that stuff. So to kick things off here, let's start with Amonkhet Remastered Release. I know that we've gotten a chance, all of us have gotten a chance to play with some of the cards and test some stuff out for the past few weeks here with the decks, with the set released. What are you guys feeling? How has your Amonkhet released influenced historic experience been thus far?
I've had a blast. This is I really missed Amonkhet when it left. So this is sweet remembrance of all the things we got to play with. And the shakeup too of adding in cards like Thoughtseize, Collected Company, cards that weren't in the set before. In the draft environment, it's kind of weird. It's a little bit off-putting. But the format overall, I think really got a lot of answers to things that it needed. And it opened up a lot of avenues, especially with our next topic that we're going to hit on the BNR list. With all of that shakeup, it really opens it up for Amonkhet decks to flourish a little more. We've been still seeing the same things, but on the ladder where I'm at, I'm fixing to get out of diamonds, or I'm fixing to get out of platinum. There's still a lot of different things down there, so I'm having fun with it.
Cool, man. Yeah, Brax, what about you, man? What about you? How's your Amonkhet historic been since it's come out?
Up till today, a lot of Field of the Dead, both actually mostly on my side. I didn't play a lot of it against a lot of it. I played a ton of it. My one and only season that I committed to the ladder, I got Mythic with the standard Field of the Dead deck. And so when Hour of Promise came to here, I couldn't help but I had to play Field of the Dead again. Huge shout out, though I didn't play his list. Varian, one of the guys who hangs out in our Discord, is on Twitter a bunch. The Karn board that he made for that was so nice, and I took it and ran with it and played my own version.
Yeah, I also played Sultai Field. I did a lot of experimentation with some of the other decks kind of earlier on in the life of the format, right at the onset, but then kind of landed on Sultai Field. And yeah, you're right. Varian's list with the Karn board was actually just one of the coolest things I've gotten to do in a while. And Field of the Dead is one of my favorite decks of all time. and just kind of adding in this like really cool Karn piece that's like something like these Karn boards, it never really picked up a whole ton of steam in like standard or even historic really up until this point, and like it's really something that had seen a lot of play in like Pioneer and Modern. So kind of seeing it come into a deck that's really strong and actually be useful. There like one of the cards that was in the Karn board was a Chroma's Memorial, and I won so many games off the back of a Chroma's Memorial. Like card is really really powerful. Yes, it costs 7 mana, but it's really 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 powerful. It's effectively a 7 mana hasty creature with Karn. So yeah, having the Karn board was sweet. Varian did put out a couple of different lists on our Discord. I played both of his lists to a 75% 75 to 76% win rate with across both lists. And then very shortly after that, I actually saw a tweet from Crokies saying like, if you're playing Field of the Dead, you should probably be playing Pact of the Negation in your deck. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That actually makes a ton of sense. And so I immediately went to the drawing board. It took Varian's second list that he put out, turned it into a Yorion list, and just filled in the blanks with now his lists weren't playing the traditional like top end of like Ugin and Ulamog, so I got to add in those Pact of Negation and some Casualties of War as well too. So kind of it was really a hodgepodge of just all the good stuff you're going to be doing in Sultai Field, and yeah, it was great. With when I made it to Mythic with that deck with the Yorion version, I ended up having just across all 3 versions, it's a 29-9 record and 75% win rate across all three lists. So yeah, the deck was just really really solid, super super fun. Recently I've been exploring, and before we kind of started the podcast, I was playing some Collected Company, some Stompy, green-black Stompy Collected Company. Now, Coco's been a card that's been seeing play in other places, a little bit more in the combo aspect of it, in like green-black Citadel or Jund Citadel, what have you. I know, Braxton, you said you were playing the green-black version, right?
Yeah, and I was playing. I have played probably 6 or 7 games on it so far. Just kind of when I saw the announcement of the ban, I knew it was gonna be Field of the Dead, so like I wanted to switch. So I haven't got a ton of games on it. I am playing the more sacrifice Citadel version, and I've been enjoying it a lot there. But uh, watching the just beats version, that was also real sick.
Yeah, and I've seen it played in a few other places. Some people playing like Bant Spirits or Elves or Gruul Coco as well. Like it seems like it's a pretty powerful piece that just like gets a lot of value in. Poke, have you had a chance to play with Coco any? Maybe, maybe not. I think he said he had looked at to put or he put it in Merfolk, I think he said at one point. He had put Collected Company and Coco. Oh, he'll probably be back here in a minute. Yeah, he said he had put Collected Company in Merfolk, which seemed really sweet, which I definitely would love to try. There he is, he's back.
All right, we're gonna do this over here. Let's go.
There we go. Pokey, I know you. So
Storm Central, so we're like having internet connections right now. I apologize.
I got you. No worries, dude. Yeah. So you said for the Collected Company stuff, like you had played Coco, you put Coco in like a L or Merfolk list.
Yes. The moment Coco got released, I bought my packs. I got my packs at Amonkhet. I opened them all. I got one Collected Company, and I was just like, well, here we go. So I burned 3 wild cards, crafted them all. They sat in my inventory for a week, and I was like, if I don't craft them now, I'm going to run out of wild cards, and I'm never going to get them crafted later. I'm going to feel really bad about it. So I essentially just went to the Merfolk list, and I said, which 4 of these cards are the worst? And that was a harder decision than I thought I would ever have to make.
I found the 4. I'm not going to say the 4 because Merfolk players are like super territorial when it comes to their list, and I don't want to upset anybody. But I took 4 cards out that I imagine would be the worst. Put 4 Collected Company in, and it's exactly as good as you think it would be. You just turn 4 Collected Company into 2 Lords with a Kumina on board, and you just have fun.
Yeah, that's sweet. That sounds actually super. That sounds super sick. I'm gonna have to give that a shot, and maybe we'll do a video on it or something, or an article on it. But yeah, that sounds super cool.
And
Any?
of course, we've got the 75 pile that we were talking about earlier. The Taco Bolus 12 pack. It's gonna be an Abzan list. I played a little bit of it a while back. I played the Sultan Explorer list when it was in standard. I really think just jamming Collected Company in there is very good. I don't know how the numbers should go with non-creature versus creature spells. I think the Ballistic Citadel list is pretty fun. I know it put up numbers for a brief time until people learned how to deal with either the Graveyard or Ballistic Citadel, the Wild Growth Walker, um, the big animate dead spell. I know that was a thing for a while, and you just free spells off top of your deck with Ballistic Citadel. Wild Growth Walkers gain you nearly infinite amount of life. So that's what I'll be. I'll probably be upset about it when it doesn't win, and I'll throw it in the back of my closet for 2 weeks, and then I'll come back to it and it'll work, and I'll go, "Wow, see, I was right all along."
Yeah, I remember playing the Sultai, like the Dreadhorde, Command the Dreadhorde lists. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, those were super sweet, and I expect. I mean, it's sounding from the Taco Bolus Fiesta 12 pack sounds pretty sick. Actually, I'm really excited to see. I'd love to see like an article or something on it because yeah, that'd be really cool to see. Any final thoughts on Amonkhet? Anything that feels like they knocked it out of the park with, or anything that was kind of a misstep, or
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Drew? I'm sorry. I blinked there for a second.
any final thoughts on Amonkhet Remastered? Anything that they put in that was kind of like they knocked it out of the park, or anything that was kind of a misstep, or kind of your thoughts over on the set overall?
So overall, actually, I will say, I I was a little hesitant on like seeing non Amonkhet cards in a set called Amonkhet because I'm a huge Nicol Bolas fan, and I was like, man, they're gonna do a dude's playing dirty by bringing in random cards, but like it was a really well put together set. I feel personally.
Yeah. What about you, Pokey?
I'm just really proud of everybody for not trying to play 12 rack. That's about all I've got to say.
Yeah, I
Wait a
mean,
minute.
oh god, Braxton.
I said, wait a minute. What's the 12th rack?
Well, I mean, we have what? We have Thoughtseize. We have the 2 mana one, like the whole typical rip your hand apart,
And then tax
punish you
you.
for not having cards in your hands. Because we've only got what? We've only got 2 racks. We've only got 2 racks in. Okay, yeah. So back it up a little bit. There's a card called the Rack that deals 3 damage at the beginning of your opponent's upkeep. It deals 3 damage to them. It deals X damage, where X is 3 minus the number of cards they have in their hand. So ideally, you want to have no cards in their hand, and the rack just shocks them or bolts them in the face every turn. And there's multiple cards like that. We had the Planeswalker that does a similar effect.
Davriel.
There's a couple of enchantments that do it. It could be done. It's just a very annoying deck to face against because the opponent literally does nothing but not let you play Magic, and you take 3 points of damage every turn.
Yeah, it's you kind of really need those like rack effects, and yeah, it's I'd be curious to see what we can do with that now that we do have something like Thoughtseize in the format where that's um a really powerful discard spell on top of like um on top of agonizing remorse and duress and things like that. So yeah, that'll be interesting to look at. I think the set overall was really sweet. I'm very excited for what they're gonna do with the next remastered set, which I'm gonna guess they're hopefully gonna do Kaladesh remastered next. I assume that Pioneer Masters isn't going to include Kaladesh cards or maybe even Shadows cards. So we'll see how far back that goes, how far back they do the remastered sets, but it should be really exciting to see when that comes out. Yeah, the Historic's just getting more really cool stuff. So cool. Next thing here on the list is the BNR announcement. I know that we kind of hinted at it a little bit. We kind of touched on it very briefly. But we had a BNR announcement this morning that Field of the Dead is banned in Historic. It was once on the suspended list. I think it was actually one of the first cards on the suspended list when they introduced it. And then it came off the suspended list. And ever since, it's kind of been, there have been times where it was a top contender, and then there were times where it's kind of fell off. Like right when Jumpstart had come out, it had fallen off pretty hard. But kind of before that, it was really, really good. Sultai variant was really, really good. So there's now it had, it's gotten banned. Braxton had touched on it that with Hour of Promise kind of coming and getting printed into the format, the explosiveness of the deck and the consistency of the deck was just way too high between Explore, Growth Spiral, Uro, Cultivate, which really no one was really ever playing Cultivate anymore. And then Hour of Promise. You know, you were able to just crank out an absurd number of zombies. The amount of games you had all 4 Field of the Dead on the battlefield was much higher than it used to be. And so, yeah, the Wizards felt that it was too powerful, and they don't expect that. They didn't resuspend it because they didn't think that there was ever going to be a time where it was just going to be okay to have back in the format again. Which for what it's worth, again, I understand where they're coming from. This is one that's kind of sparked a lot of controversy in the community. People are saying that, oh no, it's not really that bad. There are other cards that are a bigger problem, Ugin and stuff, and Uro. But or people saying that, you know, people are complaining about Field of the Dead, but they're not playing anything to try to stop it. Or in their deck, and there's plenty of answers for it nowadays. I don't know. What are you guys thinking about that? Kind of about the ban, about what people are saying about whether if it was actually the problem or not, or what do you guys think?
So I guess I'll start it. Like I said earlier, I played it since its Bant Scape Shift version was the thing in Standard. I mean, the deck has the ability to be answered, but you can just have a bad game where you just like draw a bunch of lands. As long as you draw some fields, you're always in the game. And like, sure, people say like, you know, oh, Ugin, Uro are the problem, which I don't believe they are. The issue is they all get to play Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead is a pretty close to literal free card for almost any deck to play. And so I think that's the biggest issue with it is on top of its support, it's literally free because it's a colorless land. Like,
So you think that was a good ban?
yeah, I totally agree with it. Like, you know, unfortunately, I didn't get to like abuse it and get to Mythic like I wanted to, but I 100% support the ban of Field of the Dead.
I really agree with the last statement you said. With it being free, just historically in Magic, anything that's been free has been a problem. You know, some people are going to argue and be like, "Oh, well, Pact of Negations are free, and all the forces are free." I mean, they have downsides. You have to pay for that later. When you get something for nothing, just making a land drop, you get a 2/2. It's it becomes a little egregious when, like you said, Uro and Ugin aren't necessarily problems in Standard or Historic. You have to get to the 8 mana. You need to have a graveyard to bust Uro out. You know, other than that, Uro is it's a 3 mana Explorer. You gain 3 life. That's fine. There's a lot of decks that just don't care about that. Every time I've played Uro against Goblins, I'm like, finish land go. They're just like, haha, Goblins. Muxus. Tap, make some more Goblins. Skirt. Play another Muxus. Play a third Muxus. Like, they just don't care. You can't put Uro in any other package either. And if you've looked at all the lists, Uro and Ugin have all been in the same linear decks. There's never been a deck that's had Ugin and not Uro, unless it's the one other blue-white control deck, and even at that point, they have better finishers. Like Ugin's almost too slow for that deck. You don't want to play Ugin when your opponent's had time to catch up, and that's how blue-white likes to play. Field of the Dead, I think, was 100% a good ban. I have only ever played one copy. I played it in Brawl, and that was it. And I even threw the one copy in my Sultai list just to have it there. It was a problem indeed. That's a good call. I actually don't have an argument about the ban this week.
Yeah, I mean,
This week.
I agree. Like it, as much as I love Field of the Dead, and as much as it's my favorite deck, I've played it in every iteration that I could have played it in, both standard and historic. I played it in Commander. I played it in pretty much everywhere I can. It is a there just the amount of times where I've said to myself, man, this just feels unfair. It probably far more than it should have been. Honestly, so I support the ban. It sucks that it's gone, but you know what? I think I'm more of a fan of an open, diverse meta than getting to just jam my favorite card. So yeah, but that's that. So that's the only thing that happened on the BNR this week today. People are thinking that Muxus should have gone at least in like best of one historic. I mean, I can see an argument for that. It is pretty powerful as a one card Splinter Twin combo, effectively. Like you just cast this thing, and you just get to go. Whether or not their reasoning for not banning it before is that there's answers to it. But we'll see how the meta shapes up. We were still kind of fairly early on in the meta right now. Being it's only a few hours after the ban, so we'll see how that shapes up. But yeah. Cool. So next on the list here, we had the Zendikar Rising announcement trailer today that got dropped a couple of hours ago by on the Magic Twitter account. I don't know if any of you guys have gotten to see it at all, but have you guys actually had a chance to look at that or no? I don't know.
I have not yet. I didn't learn about it until, like you said, about 20 minutes ago when you were talking about prior to us starting. So I'm probably gonna go over watch it after we get done with this and see what my thoughts are on it.
Yeah, I mean there really isn't a whole lot kind of to it. There's somebody's voice talking in the back, and I'm assuming that it's Nissa's voice talking in the back. But it's a really nice looking trailer. They do show kind of like a Lotus type thing, like what Kalni Heart, like the art on Kalni Heart Expedition. They kind of show something like that flower. And the only other thing that's kind of of note is that September 1st is the stream on the Magic Twitter, or on the Magic Twitch, where I assume they're going to be starting spoilers or starting talking about the set a little bit more. So be sure to tune into that, and we will also be covering that as it comes up as well. Moving on here a little bit more. Commander Legends and Commander Collection Green. So we had this past weekend, like I mentioned in the intro, Command Fest Online 2. And to kick off the event, they did a panel with Gavin Verhey and a couple people from the R&D team, one of which was responsible for Commander Collection Green, and the other which was responsible for Commander Legends as the final designers for that. I forget their names offhand. I probably could go find it. But we had some really cool stuff kind of get spoiled. Now, these two products were talked about on the Command Zone podcast last year. And so we'll kind of go through this a little bit to kind of talk about it. There's a lot to unpack with Commander Legends. So what we will start with is Commander Collection Green. So I know you guys have had a chance to kind of look over some of the cards and some of the articles and stuff around it. Do you guys want me to go through that a little bit here?
Yo, go for it.
Okay. Commander Collection Green is going to be a box set, kind of very similar to how the Spellbook series was a set that they've been printing, Spellbook Jace, Gideon, Chandra. But it is, so there's going to be 8 cards in the box, always going to be the same cards, and they are going to be focused around green. For Commander, this is a way for them to reprint cards that are much needed for the Commander format, and that all the art and stuff are generally centered around legendary creatures and commanders. And so there's two versions of the product. There's a regular version available for WPN stores, and then there is a premium foil version for premium WPN stores. So there's two full versions. They didn't release a pricing or anything like that. They don't do MSRP anymore or anything like that. But the release date is December 4th, so you can get your hands on it at your local game store. But we'll go through some of the cards here. First off, Bane of Progress is a card that they put on there, which is really cool. Command Tower, Freyalise Llanowar's Fury, which was the Planeswalker from, I think it was like Commander 2014, Planeswalker Commander. Omnath, Locus of Mana from the original Zendikar. Seedborn Muse, Soul Ring, Sylvan Library, and Worldly Tutor. Some pretty big reprints here. I know you guys, I know Pokey for sure does play a bunch of Commander. Braxton, do you play Commander?
Pre-pandemic, I played a crap ton. I still have all my decks, just haven't had the places or the want to go out right now. But yeah, I enjoy a lot of Commander. It's my go-to format when I'm not feeling like being on the ladder. I love everything about it. This this uh this little spellbook green is fantastic. It covers a lot of bases for like your green players and gives new art. Super cool. Um, of note, it's going to be a fairly cheap. I don't know the pricing of the premium version, but that Soul Ring foil for people who want to foil out their decks compared to other options for foil Soul Ring is going to be very nice.
Yeah.
Just looking at the pictures that they have down here for the premium products, I just how the shine on the pictures is. I think the Soul Ring and Command Tower are gonna look gorgeous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They actually have some of the foils down here. Like it's not really a great representation, but yeah, I mean, I think all the art is super sick. All of the art is focused around green stuff and stuff and different legends. They said that for Seedborn Muse was focused around kind of like Azusa, sort of. Worldly Tutor had Yisan on there. Bane of Progress had one of the little mech guy here is one of like Urza's or Mishra's like contraptions. Omnath and Freyalise are obviously commanders and legends in their own right. And then I forgot the one who they said for the Sylvan Library art. It was some obscure legend, I think.
I know who is offhand.
Yeah, I forget who they said it
don't
was.
even know.
But the cool thing is with the Soul Ring and the Command Tower, the art again is focused more around the green stuff. So Soul Ring sitting on like a tree stump with leaves around it, and then the Command Tower being in a forest, oozing green mana off the top of it, is very cool, very on flavor. And those two particular cards are going to be in each of the Commander collection products for the other colors, and the arts are going to be different for those. So for anybody who kind of is a monocolor fan or who likes just specific arts, you're going to have different art for each of those, which is going to be super cool.
I'm sorry. I just read the flavor text for Command Tower. Absolute power is the only true authority. Anything less is a lie told by the weak. Garuk Wild Speaker. Give me 4 copies of this.
Right?
I only have 2 command decks. Oh, anything that's got Garuk text picture, anything on it, I want it.
Well,
that was surprising. I actually had never read I don't think to read the flavor text on Command Tower. Like,
right? Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and they kind of like the aesthetic of the picture.
Oh yeah,
like fits Garuk super well.
I do like to see what they have in store for the other sets with Command Tower and Soul Ring, both going to be the meta variant of whatever box set it is. If I Soul Ring on the like corpse thing for the black set, I think it'd be a very good art direction for that. The Command Tower, they stick tower on neck of anything is probably going to look good. My question is, are we going to be getting similar power level cycles for everything, or are we going to get like? Can I expect to see tutors in all of these box sets? Because Holy Tutor was a big reprint.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I'm gonna assume that the power level should be about the same. They are working really closely, I think, with they obviously they kind of know like what's really kind of needed in the format, and I would say most of these are pretty solid, like really solid choices. If we wanted to say speculate on what was kind of coming through for some of the other cards, or for some of the other sets, I would assume for like white we might get some things like, I don't know, like land tax maybe. I can't think of any like white is one of the ones that's a little bit tricky.
I'm not opposed
Like-
to seeing like maybe Sun Titan art in the Dana Park slot. Like that feels kind of on par there. Uh, the Planeswalker it could just be the next list Planeswalker. They could be printing those. Those have been out of cycle for a long time. You know, refresh those old Planeswalker Commander art because this is all new art. I really like the Freyalise art. Can be the same things. The tutors could be replaced with anything like that. It could just be the tutors again.
Yeah, we might see
we
like
could
demonic
just
tutor or
get a
something.
Sylvan Library slot, Muse slot, library uh, Phyrexian Arena, or what's the red card? Muse. One day I'll be a good enough podcast where I have names of cards written down before I start opening my mouth. We all get what I'm talking about. I'm excited for this product. This is exactly what I was hoping to see when they announced it last year. And don't go greedy with the price, please. Everybody wants this already. You're gonna sell like hotcakes. You could run production in December and sell this product for $20 a pop, and you would make more.
Yeah, I expect as far as like the non foil prices, it's probably going to be like $25 if I had to guess, and then for well, I don't know, yeah, maybe $25, maybe 25 or $30, and then for the premium, it's probably going to be like 50 or 60 or something like that. But who knows? Like, there's we're talking about like a Sylvan Library here, which I mean, arguably Sylvan Library is expensive, right? But it's not like, I don't know, I don't know, it's pretty expensive, but yeah, I mean, like these are cards that there are some cards here that are just like way over the top, and some of these are just I don't know. Hopefully it will be reasonably priced. I know that for I'll probably be picking up a set of these just because I think these are super nice arts and stuff, and I play a lot of green in Commander, so I would probably be picking these up.
So if we have anything to go off of, I had to Google it real quick. The Signature Spellbook series was only $15, 16, maybe 17 in some places.
Sure.
All the prices I'm seeing, 15 plus shipping, 16 plus shipping. Like, and you got to remember that one had 8 cards in it and a foil. These only have the base set. Only has the 8 cards.
Right, that's true. But for what it's worth, I would argue that the power level of the cards in this set, in this product, are much higher. So I think that they understand that they could probably have a suggested price that might be a little bit higher.
That spell book had some bombs in
it. I mean, it did.
That spell not, but I mean that spell book. What did we have? We had Conviction, Worship, Martyr's Bond, Rest in Exile. That spell book.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's yep. Pokey,
will stay there. Freyalise.
Pokey, your audio's going crazy, my dude.
There we go.
That was better. I can hear that. But yeah, I mean, the spell books did have some powerful cards in them. Were they on the level, I guess, of like Bane of Progress or Seedborn Muse or Sylvan Library? Arguably not. I mean, I think that they might be able. I think they might consider. I think that this was a product that people wanted, and I don't know that necessarily like the Spellbook series was a card or a product that necessarily people were like really, really wanting. If I recall correctly, they didn't really sell very well. So I think that this is going to be something where they can probably push the price point a little bit more, and they'll still sell it like no matter what. Like they'll probably push this thing up. Like I would wager probably 1.5 or 1.5 to 2 times the price of the Spellbook series, and it would still sell like crazy. But
what would be a good price for you on that? What would you pay for this? The non-premium.
For the non-premium, I'd probably pay $30 for it. Right? Because if I'm looking at like the price, if I look right now, if I go Sylvan Library, if I Google Sylvan Library, looking at just TCG Player, the OG, the original 5th edition version is about $50. Let's look at all versions. So the most reasonable version that we would be looking at is probably the Eternal Masters version, which is also $50. So thinking about a $50 card being put into a product that is also encompassing a bunch of other really high or like really powerful cards in the set, probably I would expect the price for it is probably going to come down, but it's probably like the whole set as a whole. I mean, obviously Wizards doesn't care about, quote unquote, care about secondary market. I would expect that probably $30 is I would say a fine price point. I mean, that might be a steal, considering that also if we look at like what is it, Worldly Tutor? I think that card was also really expensive too. Yeah, $25.
Yeah.
$25 for Worldly Tutor. $30.
Worth it. Your money is worth it. I don't really see a price they could put on that would make it outrageous. It's not as limited as let's say the Secret Layers. So
right.
They haven't up runs. I would expect a fair number of print runs for this set.
So what was that?
I'm sorry. I was saying that I believe the price has a lot to do with print run too. Now shops and premium shops can just order it and be done with it. Run in.
Yeah, I mean that is fair. I suppose. Yeah, like the print run does have some. And I don't think they announced whether this is a limited or unlimited print run product, so we don't know exactly how that's going to play into it. But you're right, it does have something to do with that as well. Now, I guess also too, the one thing that we also have to think about with this as well is that they coupled this announcement with the announcement of Commander Legends, which is another really hyped product, which we can actually talk about here. So, Commander Legends. This is a very interesting product. This is kind of a product like that they really haven't ever done before. Now, to kind of break it down, Commander Legends, and actually I'll pull up my article because I put everything in the article here for it. So, Commander Collection Green. Okay, so the way that Commander Legends is going to work is that it is a box set, kind of like a normal box, but each pack is going to be 20 cards in it instead of 15, which is really nice. Now, the product is meant to be drafted, and the way that it'll work is that as you draft in your pod, you'll pick 2 cards out of each pack instead of just 1. And now the cards in there's going to be 2 commander slots or 2 legendary legend slots. So whether that's creatures or planeswalkers, like things that can be your commander. And then there's also a foil in every pack as well too. And then you draft it, you pick 2 cards from each pack, and then pass it around. And then instead of building a 40 card deck, you build a 60 card deck. And so you're kind of drafting. And then once you're done with the draft, you go and break into a pot of 4 and play a game of Commander with your 60 card decks. Now, a few things that change. The singleton rule doesn't apply because you could technically draft duplicates, but everything else kind of applies. Commander damage and life total, I think they mentioned applies, but then also color identity also applies as well when you're doing deck building and stuff as well too. Some other cool things about it: there's going to be 71 new legends in the set, as well as 32 reprinted legendary legends in the set from across any plane or any time in Magic's history, which is really cool. There's also going to be 4 evergreen mechanics that are coming in the set, one of which is a brand new mechanic that they have yet to say anything about. They haven't said anything about any of the mechanics. Now, otherwise, from there, a couple of questions that had come up and they addressed in the panel was that when you're drafting, let's say that you draft a 2-color commander, a blue-white commander, and you pick up some great cards in blue, but you really don't see a whole ton of things in white, and then you get past a cultivate. What do? Do you take the cultivate and hope to try to find a green and blue commander that you can pick up, or what are your outs there? What do you do? Well, one of the things that they brought back in the set is partner. So one of the original, or I think it was 2016, Commander 2016 had a partner mechanic where you could pick 2 commanders with partner, and they were both your commander, and you could play with cards from both color identities. So you have the option, if that is something that happens, you would then end up having to pick up a blue and a green partner commander. They're monocolored now. Is the thing is that they're bringing in monocolor partner commanders to the set, not multicolor. So you pick up a blue and a green one, and then you can play your cards, and you're done, and you're off to the races. Now, there are 40, or what did they say? I think they said 41, I guess, out of the 71 new mythic or new legends, I think they said it's like 41 or something monocolored partner commanders, and then 30 non-partner 2 to 3 color commanders as well. They showed off a couple of the commanders that they had put in there, and it's Helena Kasich Ranger and Alina Kasich Trapper, which these are monocolor commanders. They were from some of the I think Shadows over Innistrad. Like, they're basically like 2 characters that were in a story that people really liked, so they brought them in, and those are partners that synergize well with each other. But they are, you can put them with any other of the partners, commanders. And then, so you had those. And then they also raised the question that if you say you don't have a commander at the end of the draft for whatever reason, if you don't have a commander, what do? Like, you just drafted, 60 cards and you don't have any commander or that synergizes with what you're doing. Well, you have the option of the Prismatic Piper, 5 mana, 3/3, and then basically he's basically like a basic land, but he's a basic commander. He's always available to you to be able to use as your commander. If you have 2 colors in your pool, you play 2 of them, and because they have partner, so you can play 2 of the same Prismatic Piper as your commanders, and then you're set for your deck. They don't really have any abilities. You just, if it's a commander, you pick a color at the beginning of the game, and that one is that color. So then you can just play, and then you just play your deck. So really cool solutions to kind of a traditional problem with drafting commander. I know some people have like commander cubes and stuff where they were able to work around those issues by having separate packs for commanders and stuff. So this is a really cool way for them to do a sealed product and put them together. Now, kind of going into this, I guess, what do you guys think about the set, like the mechanics and the monocolor partners, Prismatic Piper? What do you guys think about that stuff? What are your thoughts?
I personally love it. I'll start. So partners is very hit or miss. I think in concept it was great when they released 4-color, so you had more than 5 commanders to play 4-color decks with. think I think the power disparity of those original partners was pretty big. You have this top end of Thrasios and Timna, and then you're but then you have cards that are not as good, like I want to say Sidar and like the other blue green one that draws cards. Like
Oh,
there's
Kydell.
this extremely yeah. Do you know which commander I'm talking about, Pokey?
Yeah, Kydell.
Oh, did he say it? I didn't hear him. If I did, I apologize, Pokey. But so like they I like the one I like the one color partners. I think it allows like in this format it makes drafting a 2-color deck like you said easier. But also like if you want to play say like Tim or big creatures but you don't have a you don't want to play Maelstrom Wanderer because maybe you want to go above his trigger for Cascade. You can play Thrasios plus Alina, and you have big dudes tribal. Like I think there's a lot of fun play that's going to come from these guys. The Piper's weird. I think that's the best way to put it. Like draft format makes sense. Outside of that, I don't know. I think what I'm most excited about though, they finished the Battle Bond land, which is so nice.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely.
I mean,
There were a lot of people were excited about this.
Like I'm primarily an is it player, so like not having I've gotten absolutely nothing for a mana base for commander in so long. So getting this land for is it is so nice.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And actually, it's a really good segue into kind of like talking about some of the cards, other cards in the set. This is mostly a reprint set, or sorry, this is mostly a new card set. There are some reprints in here, but one thing that they did say was that Command Tower and Command Sphere will be in the main set, which is cool. And so that is some cards you can draft, which makes that experience a little bit better. It makes if Command Tower and Command Sphere were not necessarily easy enough to get a hold of anyways, they're even more readily available now. But it really just helps play into the draft experience a bunch with it. They released the full text for Sengir, the Dark Baron, which was one of the cards that was kind of teased during the Command Zone podcast, and we now have the full card. They had shown the art before. Interesting card, harkens back to Baron Sengir, the super old card, and so really cool, interesting card here. The other thing that they did notice that they showed off was one of the returning legends, which was Prosh. One of the very powerful like commander that you can combo off with him. Very, very strong. But one thing you notice here in this picture is that there's a new frame for these commanders. And the cool thing about it is that this is the I don't know I forgot what they called the specifics, but this is like their showcase frame. And the way that it works with the showcase frame is that in the main set, any card that any reprinted legend is going to be in the showcase frame, but the other legends, the new reprinted legends, can also show up in the showcase frame as well, which is cool. Now they are going to do the extended art stuff as well in the box toppers, or not box toppers. I'm sorry, the collector's boosters, which are only 15 cards. They are doing collector's boosters for the set, which take it or leave it. I mean, there's going to be some cool foils and stuff in there. I mean, people are going to still buy it because people are buying the VIP boosters, so they're going for double masters. They're going to buy these ones as well too. But I think the coolest thing that kind of came out of this was etched foiling, or foil etching is what they call it, which is a new foiling process that they're doing for the legends that are in the showcase frame. And I will actually I'll show you the video here that is on Gavin Verhey's channel. I'll pull it up and you can see it's kind of got this really cool textured look. He said that the feel is not really much any different than a normal foil, but it kind of has this really cool like crinkle, not like crinkled, but like Yeah, just like a matte textured kind of finish. Like if anybody's played Yu-Gi-Oh, it's familiar. It's similar to like Ultimate Rare to an extent, but probably not quite as textured. But very, very cool new foiling process. But essentially, they're getting the entire frame, the outer frame of the card, and it really makes it pop. There, Gavin Barry's posted. He had actually one of the cards on stream. He posted another video of it a little bit more close up, and that foiling process really makes the card pop. So super, super cool there. They're doing the Baron Sengir alternate art or promo art done by Pete Venters. And then as Braxton mentioned, yes, we're getting the full, finally the full cycle of the Battle Bond lands. So the last 5 there for Boros, Izzet, Orzhov, Golgari, and Simic. So very cool there. I guess any last thoughts on some of that stuff there?
I think they did a good job with this from so far. I think it's really hard to mess up a commander set. The market is so wide open for this. It panders to everybody. I am really having a fun time seeing commander players arguing over Prismatic Piper and trying to figure out its place in the world, as most CEDH players do. And it's just it's a basic partner. It's a basic commander. It's exactly what it is.
Draft nice.
It's all it's there for. I will most definitely at one point in a draft probably pass every legend that I've ever seen, because I'm going to see the commons and uncommons that are absolutely busted in Commander and be like, I'm getting these. I'm going to get to the end of my draft and have no legendaries and be like, wow, this was really bad. And I'll be sitting across from my opponent with 2 Prismatic Pipers just smiling. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I'm most definitely going to, if I can draft safely, I will 100% double Piper one draft just because there is no doubt in my mind I am going to double Piper and make everyone try to guess what I'm playing.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
you do have to announce what the colors of the Piper are at the beginning, but like that's that's neither here nor there. I mean, that's still super cool. Like there's no theme or anything that they can guess off of the colors.
Paper and tuck it down in there. I've still got a notepad of paper that's all shredded up back from when I used to draft Conspiracy.
Oh
you
yeah.
had to take 101 notes every draft.
Yes. Who this is naming.
How many cards you put under a pile for something. The one that as you're drafting, exile cards underneath it. You can't use those cards in your draft. It gets 1/1 for each card that's exiled. Like
what
taking
did
that
I take this garbage fire?
Right. One small detail, and I didn't realize the significance of it until I was on Twitter earlier this week roaming some posts. I saw Gavin Very actually talk about this. The professor is obviously the one that brought this up. The artist for Sengir the Dark Baron is Pete Venters, who I think was undercredited for a while in the community. Somebody that they've been reaching out and wanting to use more often. But the new art for this is just phenomenal. I think it's a really good way to bring back uh, an absolute iconic vampire. They gave him the noble title. His abilities are just stacked. It literally, when an opponent loses the game, you gain life equal to that player's life total as the turn began. Literally soul siphoning your opponent to death.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
It
on
doesn't
flavor.
Get more vampire. It doesn't get more vampire than being the OG vampire.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. So like the art that's for Sengir that's in the main set is done by Bastian Deharme, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yes.
Now Pete Venters is doing a promo art for Sengir.
Yes, which is like their game day or pre-release preview event. However, they're kind of doing this. It's sort of like a pre-release.
Yeah.
They haven't given a date for it yet.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it will be the week before the street release.
Yeah.
With everything going on, I would check with your LGS and see how they're going to distribute those. They might throw it in as the FNM at home prize and maybe, give that off to somebody, or however your local game store might be handling that. Definitely check with them from this. This is a card you're going to want. This is a card that's going to be wanted. It's a special promo only coming out on game day. There are a limited number of these printed.
Yeah. Now, speaking of as far as release date and stuff, this is a product. So we said Commander Legends, Commander Collection Green is going to be on December 4th this year, and Commander Legends is releasing even before that, November 6th of 2020. So it's not too far away, which is very exciting. We should be seeing previews for that, for more cards coming from that as well. Now, Gavin had said on his video on Friday last week that there was supposed to be as well 2 pre-constructed commander decks that come in tandem with Commander Legends, and they're going to have 3 cards each that are new cards that are not in the main set. So that is something to expect to. You should probably be seeing those commander decks show up around the same time as well. In addition, somebody had asked about pricing for these packs, and he had said that they are going to be, per pack, more expensive than a normal standard booster, but they will not be as expensive as a Masters booster. So it's actually, that's not bad. You're getting a little bit more cards in there, and you're paying a little bit more. My expectation is probably going to be somewhere between $7 and $10. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if it was upwards of 15, but that's as much as much as I could see them charging for this if it's between those bounds, you know.
And this is obviously for the regular boosters, correct?
Yes, for the regular, for the regular boosters, not for the
20
collector's boosters.
The 20 card booster. I was expecting $30 drafts for this set. It is.
Yep, that's not bad.
I would probably roll that back to back actually. $30 for 60 commander cards and 2 to 3 rounds of fun. Absolutely. And I'm gonna throw it to them on this one, and probably the only time you're ever gonna hear me say this.
Oh, Lord.
This is the product that you put the whale pricing on. This is the product that everybody wants, foil. This is where I say thank you for giving us a collector booster pack. Because not only are these foils going to be accessible, I call them shadow borders that it has with Sangir, Halana, Elena, and the Prismatic Piper. I really like those borders. I
Yeah.
think the extended arts for Command Tower and Command Sphere are great budget ways for players that don't have the money to bling everything out, but want to look good sitting at the table is a great option for them. And some people might just like that. The Prosh Yu-Gi-Oh foiling that's we've got now. I don't know how to feel about that. I am a very much see it in person. If I like it, I'll probably go spend some money and find some of these in whichever commanders I prefer to play. I would suggest getting the ones that you guys like to play because, again, this is a product. It's neither here nor there. It's probably going to be a one-time thing. Maybe they do a Commander Legends 2. Who knows? But first run foilings, these things have to look gorgeous or they have to look ugly. So it's gonna be a toss up, but I'm actually glad that they did premium booster packs for these.
Yeah, I think if anything, if on flavor of the formats, like commander players of anything are collectors, right? They are people who just want to have cards because they want to build commander decks. Like this is your audience for collectors boosters.
We
It
are your
absolutely makes
audience.
sense.
I don't want to buy a $50 box with a walking ballista and a sundering titan in it. I don't want one of each. I don't want one of each fetch land for $200.
No, right? you want 16 packs of full foil cards that are going to be playable in Commander, most likely, that are going to be new cards to the format that are going to be exciting, and yeah, that's the kind of stuff you want. Now the Commander's collector's boosters are 15 cards; they're not 20 cards, but they're because they're not meant to be drafted, which is fair. No. I definitely understand that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the pricing on those. I mean, I think the other commanders or collector boosters were like $250, $300 a piece for the standard sets, right? So probably somewhere in the neighborhood of I'm gonna guess $400 per collector's box.
Yeah, and it is to be known for everybody. The shadow borders or the alternate borders and the etched foiling are only in the 15 card booster packs.
I thought I heard that they can show up in the regular boosters, but they are guaranteed to. I thought the extended arts were only in the collector's boosters.
Let me reread real quick.
Yeah, I thought that those were in the collector's boosters, but then because I think they said that because the old legends, the 32 reprinted legends, only showed up in the showcase shadow border. And so if those
all 71 legends in the set have the alternate versions in a special frame. So all 71 legends do have an alternate version in a special frame using a brand new foiling process we call foil etching. We reached back in time and grabbed 32 of the 71 legendaries.
Yeah, the reprinted ones. Only appear
not otherwise in Commander Legends are in this frame, and I'm assuming only in the 15 card pack. They got to have something exclusive in there to sell it.
Yeah, I think they said that these extended arts were like you can't get these extended arts in the normal boosters. You can get them in the collector's boosters.
You can find extended art versions in the collector boosters, correct?
Yeah. So, kind of the other thing that they did touch on here, I guess before we jump into the last little segment of the panel here, any last thoughts on Commander Legends?
Great so far. I enjoy everything about it so far. I mean, there's still hundreds of cards to go.
Yeah, I think this is like 361 cards in the set, and we've gotten what 7 cards.
It's a little more than that because it's the 5 battles.
We've gotten like 10 to 12 cards.
13 cards. We have the command towers, the sphere, the piper, the 3 legendaries we just talked about. Keeper of the Accord, which
that's the next thing I was going to touch on here.
Kind of like
yeah, we'll segue into talking about that card in a sec here.
I'm gonna let y'all handle that one. I don't have a lot to say about this card.
I mean,
white.
Yeah, I think
better, and I think they're trying. I'd give you an E for effort, Watsy.
Which actually that kind of segues nicely. So one of the things that they did discuss was kind of there's been a lot of discussion over the last 6 months to a year about white as a color in Commander and how it's very underpowered, very underwhelming. And so they were talking about how they were going to be looking to correct some of these things, kind of going forward in some of the cards that they printed. And they understood white to be kind of like this, like go wide with tokens and hit your opponent down. And that really wasn't conducive to a very good strategy and winning in a multiplayer setting. So they had to go kind of back to the drawing board to start to think about new ways to give white some more power. Now, a few things that they had mentioned that they were thinking about doing for white was giving white some kind of card draw, giving white the ability to have persistent threats and permanence, alternate win conditions, and then some form of ramp. So they did mention that Mangara, the diplomat from Core 2021, was a good model that they were going to be using for how to give white kind of card draw in the future, which I agree with. I think that is actually a perfectly on flavor card for white to be able to give them card draw in Commander. Absolutely perfect. Now, the card that they showed off that is in Commander Legends, that is kind of the first step towards some of the progress that they're going to be making, is Keeper of the Accord. So it's a 4-mana, 3/4 human soldier. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, you make a 1/1 white soldier creature token. And at the beginning of each, and then also at the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player has more lands than you, then you can search your library for basic planes and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So giving you kind of a way to go wide, protect yourself against, massive, swarm of creatures, and then also being able to pseudo effectively ramp yourself to keep up with other green-based decks, green-blue-based decks in Commander as well. And I think that this is an interesting card. I mean, it's kind of like land tax meets, I don't know, some random token dude. I don't know if there's another card that they stapled kind of together with this like land tax, sort of like upgraded land tax. But
kind of like your land tax raise the alarm.
Yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, kind of. And then it comes on a 3/4 body, so it's kind of interesting. I think I like the ideas and the directions that they're going about in white. I know, Pokey, so you're not like really much of a of a white player, and you don't have too many thoughts on the card. But what do you think about the kind of direction of their approach to kind of giving white more power with ramp and more persistent creatures and card draw?
Oh, I think you misunderstood my sentiment when I said
Oh,
I didn't have much to say about this. I just wrote an article about how much I love the Selesnya Conclave. I am a huge white player.
oh,
Every one of my EDH decks has white in it, except for the Sultai Mutate deck that I bought off the shelf because I wanted to spend $40 on a Whale Wolf, and I did it, and I don't regret it. But
I guess I don't.
this is I can say this is the right direction that this goes, but it makes white. So half of it makes white better as a standalone. Like if I wanted to rebuild Izumaru, uh, this would go good in there. It's a very Voltron strategy. You want to slap swords and auras on Izumaru. He's a one-drop commander. The recursion cost is super cheap early in the game. Um, your opponents typically want to pick him off every time he hits the board to make him cost like a normal commander would cost. He's a 1 mana 2/2. The 2 mana commander tax isn't that big of a deal. Keeper of the Accord typically triggers a lot in there. You can play the Jeskai Pillow Fort builds. He'll trigger a lot in there as well. The basic planes clause is kind of my issue. Maybe one more mana and let us just go get a planes. I would have been okay with. The 1/1 white soldier creature token coming in is also very nice for white strategies. But again, I think there's maybe something else we could have done there. Opponent instead of they control more creatures than you. Uh, you could get, I don't know, drawing a card is a little more egregious for being behind on board. That's a big difference in hand advantage. I don't know how I would rework this. I guess the 1/1 white soldier is fine. Uh, the beginning of each opponent's instep, if that player specifically controls more lands than you, really does control it, so it's not as much of a land taxi feel. But I think the card is manageable. It can end up just being a 3 mana 3/4 uh, in Commander, and that feels really bad. I would just probably play Prismatic Piper in the 100, not even as a commander at that point. But early game, I give it a B. Late game, it's probably getting an F.
So, Pokey, just something I was thinking about just now. What if it's a 5 mana 4/5 human knight makes 2/2 knights with Vigi if they control more? So kind of upping everything in general. It goes up 1 mana. You get a better token. You get to find any planes card. Does that help at
100%.
all?
100%. A plus early game, probably about a C late game. Maybe a C minus late game. Getting 1/2/2. It is each opponent's instep as well. So you can hit the Monty and get 3 lands, 3/2/2s. You can get 3 basic planes and 3/1/1s. Uh, I think they went more, and I guess taking this step first is what they should have done with every other color and color combination. Cough, cough, green, blue. You should start small, and I think this is a good direction, like they said, for the model of white. Mangara the Diplomat was awesome. I love that card. Uh, Getting attacked and getting to draw cards is a very black-esque policy. Card advantage at the cost of life. Pseudo breaking the pie wheel, but staying in everybody's lane. Beginning of each opponent's instep. That's not a lot goes on in Commander at insteps, unless for certain niche decks. It's mainly a lot of upkeep go effects that happen. So it saves you from a lot of effects the following turn, kind of leaving each opponent to clean up after the previous opponent's mess. The planes coming in tapped really hurts my feelings. I think that's my biggest issue with the whole text on the entire card. Human soldier is a good typing. Human in general is a good typing. 3/4 is a modest body in commander. 4 mana for white isn't terrible, but you're also looking at the 4 mana slots in white. Like I don't have to name all of them. I just have to say Smothering Tithe. Like
Yeah.
that's a big card to compete with, and I don't think this really
Beat
I lost
Smothering
my
Time.
analogy. I was gonna say something like juices the grapes, but it just sounded weird.
Apples to
Now,
oranges.
Yeah, it's not really
Is
apples
that the
there. It's
one you
kind of
were
apples
going
and oranges.
for?
yeah, there you
Hey,
go.
we were in the fruit category,
Yeah,
man.
close
That's what
enough.
we got there.
You were close. Now they did they did mention though that with kind of this reimagining of white, giving white some more things, they are going to be breaking the color pie a little bit. They're going to be kind of going back to the drawing board and saying that cards traditionally that they would never have printed in white are probably a little bit more okay now to print in white, or effects that were never really kind of existent in white can now exist in white. They just because there's no real way, and I think it's just a fundamental design philosophy problem, really more so. That just kind of the way that white was initially conceived doesn't lend itself to being a very good multiplayer strategy, and so they kind of have to go back to the drawing board, and they're hoping that they're like you said, Pokey, taking it slow. They don't want to very quickly, homogenize white into pretty much every other color or whatever, right? They want to just take nods into directions of just some of the other effects in other colors. Now they did also mention that this change is not something that's going to be happening in a couple of months. It's going to take years for them to really get a lot of the things that they're working on implemented. They're going to be sprinkling it in here and there, one in a set, two in a set, maybe. So we won't see this dramatic shift of change in white right away. It most likely we probably will honestly never even notice it until we take a look back in 5 years and say, man, look how far white as a color and commander has come. And then we'll do the compare and contrast at that point and just be like, wow, they actually put a ton of really cool stuff in here. So it is something that we'll probably not feel the effects, because arguably this is a pretty drastic change, going in kind of breaching in the color pie quite a bit for in a lot of directions, honestly. Like, I mean, giving them persistent creatures and persistent permanence is kind of something that is in white already, with persistent and stuff. So,
And I never noticed this. And I'm sorry, this will be my last thing I say about this. They have already previewed a huge break in the color pie. If you just look at the two Kessig partners, Helena has, whenever a creature enters the battlefield you control, you may pay 2. That creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. The one-sided fight effects like that, kind of like Red's got many enchantments that do that. Red has many creatures that do that. And Elena, the Kessig Trapper, has added amount of green equal to the greatest power among creatures you control to enter the battlefield this turn. That's a tried and true green mechanic. So, and to see those in monocolors already with just these two does give me a lot of hope for the set, that white will get something like some blue-esque or some green-esque abilities with these white partner commanders.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you the red one. The red one is definitely kind of more of like a green effect, but the single-handed fight one we've had for a while, I think. Single-sided fight, I think, has been a thing since maybe Shadow's Block at least.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
options of it even in like current standard, like.
Yeah, like Vivian does that, and
Oh, I was talking more along the lines of the entering the battlefield. Like when the creature enters, you get it there. Like it's a trigger that goes on the stack.
Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
part.
guess I can give you that. Yeah, yeah.
We have the dragon in standard right now that does that. That just came in. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield,
yeah,
it deals
terror.
its power. Terror, yeah. There's the red enchantment that does that. Warstorm Surge. That's the card I was going for. It's a very Warstorm Surge ability.
Yeah, okay, I can give you that.
Yep, no, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Yeah.
Which they kind of snowball together now that I just look at it even more. Enters the battlefield. Enters the battlefield. You can tap Elena to generate that mana, and you just kind of start chaining them there for free.
Yeah, you just start going absolutely ham.
I like this set. I gotta stop looking at this page. I want to keep talking about it.
Yeah, man. I think this is an overall very, very strong product. Very exciting. Very exciting to see them give Commander some more love outside of just the pre-constructed decks, which we arguably are very excited to see every single year that they print them. We're excited to see what gets printed, what gets put together. But it's nice to see a little bit more love being given to the Commander players. And they're appealing to and understanding that this is a very big amount of their base is, people who play Commander. So that's very cool. Cool. Moving on here to the last thing that we have on the docket for today. We've gone a little long, but it's okay. We have our 10th Street tournament series, 10th Street Tavern tournament series that we have we've kind of teased a bit here. Braxton did an article about it a couple days ago. So we'll go to the article here. And I guess I'll kick it over to you, Braxton, to kind of break some stuff down, give a little bit more information about it that we have for the tournament stuff we have coming up here.
Sorry about this, guys. I had a little bit of a tech. I should be back.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, there we go. All right. So yes, I wrote on Saturday that alongside 10th Street, we are looking forward to making a tournament series. Basically, the way I have it outlined, and I think for the most part, Dragosi, you've been on board with my ideas, so I'm just going to kind of speak on what the ideas are we've had. Basically, I'm looking at twice a month running tournaments. I wrote about it in my article. One's going to be constructed, so whether it's historic or standard, all on Arena. And then once a month, I want to do a singleton format. So whether that's Brawl or I don't know how many of our listeners have played Gladiator. Benjamin Wheeler made a singleton format for Arena, 100 card singleton. Plays a lot like Canadian Highlander. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, as far as constructed goes, I think it's going to look very similar. It's going to look pretty much like most tournaments. You're going to sign up with a deck, you're going to play your best of 3 and whatnot. Maybe looking to change it up. And, I know Jeff Hoogland does a really good job, and I like his tournament. He does the Hooglandia Open, right, Dragosi?
Yep, it's the Hooglandia Open.
Yeah, is it every time he has a stipulation, or just every once in a while he puts a stipulation?
No, I think the only stipulation that he did was the one where he wanted to just see what the format would look like without Teferi, Time Raveler, and Wilderness Reclamation, so he banned those cards particularly for the format.
Okay. But yeah, I'm looking to do something semi along those lines. If say and also, here's something that's really cool. The tournament format is going to be voted on. Basically, 1 week I will put out a poll on Twitter, whether it'll be me or 10th Street will do it. It'll say, hey, this week is constructed. Do you want to play historic or do you want to play standard? Vote. Literally, majority wins. That's the format. Now, if there's a world, because I know I'm not a fan of standard right now, I like historic a lot more. If there's a world where we see that, historic's winning, and we've played historic the last 4 tournaments. Maybe we'll do something like that where we're like, all right, Twitter, if we played standard, what would you want bans? That sort of stuff, just to keep it fresh. And I think keeping it fresh would be the best way. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that as a whole? I think this may be new to you, Pokey. I don't know.
Like I talked with Jagrosi earlier, business life has had me pinned down, but I'm always lurking in the Discord. I've been picking up the remnants and the chatter of it. I'm down for it. I really like the format like this. I think it's a good way to bring players together, and I think the best form of networking in the community as a whole. Really, I've watched a lot of Hooglandia Opens and Hooglandia tournaments. I enjoy the creativity that comes out of it. It's not such like a GP style, excuse me, a Magic Fest style.
Way to age yourself.
Yeah, I know, right? You guys remember GPs?
Oh
I
man,
remember
I
GPs.
remember GP.
I remember
Pepperidge Farms
GP.
remembers GPs.
I remember when it was just PTQs.
Oh man,
Yo,
When
you
we
guys,
didn't
you
have
guys remember?
PPTQs, nah man, we just had PTQs.
Y'all remember
yo,
5Ks?
Oh
10K?
yeah,
yo,
dude.
calm
TCG
down.
player
Calm
5Ks.
down, boys. Calm down, boys. But no, I mean, Dragosi, you're going to be playing. I'm almost positive if you're not casting it. Well, actually, that is a good point. We're going to try to cast it. If I assume you're playing if you're not casting, right? Like both of you are more than likely, if
I
available.
will I will most likely put my bid in to cast if we have somebody else that would like to cast, or if there's a better crew of people that wants to cast, I will play. I don't really have a preference either or. I would like to cast and just, kind of be able to in the stands and spectate some and let everyone
Else do their
enjoy.
thing.
I don't want to bring my stupid tokens list in and be like, here's 20
So
power turn 5.
so here's what I'll say. Um, as someone who does casting as a kind of like a side gig, and as somebody who has been a solo caster for a 2-day tournament, we're definitely going to be wanting to change out casters kind of throughout the day. So most likely we'll have more than just even us three even on the desk casting at any given point in time. But yes, we are going to be casting the events, which is going to be exciting. And I think that Braxton, do you mind if I talk about the singleton tournament?
I guess if you're going to make me,
Huh?
go for it, dude. Say it.
So the singleton tournament is going to be cool, right? Ideally it's like brawl, or in which case, or what Braxton said, gladiator would be really kind of cool. For those tournaments, that like ban list type thing is probably going to be something we do a little bit more frequently. We might say, take the top, 5 most played cards or 3 most played cards and just ban them for the next, singleton or brawl tournament. Just to kind of shake things up, change it up a little bit, right? But the format is something that I think is really interesting. And this is just a consideration of how we might do it. But for anybody who's played Hearthstone out there, the way that they do their events is that you bring 3 different decks to the tournament, and when you play a match, your opponent bans one of your decks, and you have to win with the other 2. So we might do something like that for Brawl, where you're building a few different decks, probably all having a different commander, and then when you play your match, your opponent bans one, and then you just play with the other 2, and and you go on your way and you play your match, and the first to win the other 2 with your 2 decks wins, right? So that's a really exciting kind of different change that we normally don't expect to see in a Magic tournament. Just doesn't normally fit the quite the mold of kind of how Magic plays. But yeah, so that'll be interesting. And I don't know, Braxton, did you mention that we're doing this? This is through MTG Melee.
I don't know if the article says it, but yeah. The I need to look. Are we officially TOs on there yet?
Yeah, we are officially. 10th Street is officially a tournament organizing body on MTG Melee, so we will be running all of our events through Melee.
Awesome. I need to look and see if Melee can handle 3 deck submissions or how that'll look.
During the application process, they asked if there was anything specific or special that needed to happen for running those events, and I did put that the ability to potentially submit 3 different decks as an option. So that is something. Hopefully, maybe we can chat with them about.
Maybe. But yeah, so I know, was it the first world, like when they switched it from Pro Tour to like the arena event, and they ran one of their big championships in the Hearthstone format, where it was like you register 3 best of 1 decks.
Oh,
Do
that
you
was the
guys
Mythic
remember that at
Invitational.
all? Yeah, that went poorly, but I think that's because competitive for Magic for so long has been a best of 3 instead of a bunch of best of 1s. So I think, hopefully, and this is me being very hopeful, in a world where, Brawl and even Gladiator is more of a best of 1 format, the ability to register multiple decks and be able to play them in some manner that way. I hope that does enough to keep it interesting. I know I don't personally want to register my, let's say, 5 fairy historic brawl deck and play seven rounds or 4 rounds, whatever the case is, of just 5 fairy. So like, being able to register 3 different decks, it'll keep it fresh. It'll, you know,
And I think there should
that's
be
the
like you need a break in your color pie, so you can't register like 3 blue-white brawl decks.
so that is something that I've contemplated. I've contemplated, at the very least, no color identity matches, so I can't register 3 fairy, 5 fairy as 2 of my decks. Um, like that has been a consideration. I think that's pretty healthy for it, because what was some of the dumb ones we came up with as like a lineup? It was like
Oh, 3 fairy, 4 fairy, 5
Oko
fairy.
or 3 4 5, the fairy squad. Oko 3 fairy, 5 fairy was pretty disgusting.
Oh man, I was
Um,
thinking more along the lines of like, is this historic brawl or standard brawl?
Historic brawl.
Well, I
Oh,
guess it can
without a
depend.
doubt,
It can depend. It can change, I suppose.
Yeah,
sure.
it can do
So like,
either. I am more interested in historic just because of the card pool to do 3 decks,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
maybe standard has the card pool to do it. I don't know.
historic brawl. My disgusting lineup is 100% Muxus, Judith, Corvold.
Ew.
Like,
Yo, that's a real aggressive, real get there. Real aggressive, real get there.
Go ahead, Dragosi. What would you ban? I have Corvold, Judith, and Corvold Fakehurst King. What are you banning?
I would honestly, I would probably. Oh God, I would probably ban Corvold.
It's probably the safest one.
I'd probably ban Corvold, just because like thinking about like if you're playing Muxus, right? Your goblins, probably presumably goblins, and really the big power from Muxus is that when you hit a haste enabler plus a Krenko, and so you really only have like 2 goblin haste enablers and you have 1 Krenko. So when it's a singleton format, I'm a little bit less worried about that, but arguably goblins is still probably pretty fast, I would imagine. And then as for Judith, I mean, the only thing I can think of to kind of like stave off Judith is just to kind of like play exile effects, or to just never let Judith hit the board. But
It's gonna be Corvold. It's gonna be Corvold minus Trail of Breadcrumbs
okay, fair enough.
and Gilded Juice. Like that's about it.
That's fair. Well, I mean, Corvold in himself is actually pretty scary. My
Yeah,
my
that's a
lineup,
good lineup.
my lineup, my lineup, it would be Golos, Joyra, and and then probably like
Are you gonna say like Niv Mizzet or something for 3 5 color piles?
either like, well, no, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the 5 color Niv decks.
I tell you right now, I'm banning every Niv Mizzet deck I play against. That's my brawl deck. And drawing 5 cards for 5 mana and getting a 6/6 body hurts everybody.
That's pretty gross. Oh, it would probably be Golos, Joyra, and then like probably like Azor or 3 or 5 fairy or something, like some like control deck, or Narset, like the 3 color Narset, so you can play Jeskai.
Oh my gosh, we
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
Ixalan. I forgot about Azor.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, so let's just live in a world where I have to go different color pie, I'm 100%. The first time I can play, granted, I will probably cast /TO every event. First event, if I ever like randomly get to play, I'm 100% registering Nicol Bolas. Probably Amonkhet's Nicol Bolas. He came, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
God Pharaoh.
God Pharaoh.
Nicol,
Yes.
I'm registering Nicol Bolas, God Pharaoh. I'm registering Narset. I'm Jeskai Narset, and I'm registering Five Fairy. I'm playing Grixis, Jeskai, and Blue White Control, and no one can stop me. Just like, who wants to sit through the worst match possible twice with me, please and thank you.
That's pretty gross.
But no, just getting back to the viewers, you know, this is totally up for discussion. Message me. I'm totally up for it. Probably even if you message 10 Street, they can at least get it to me, or they can answer it for you. But yeah, this is something I'm looking forward to. Not necessarily just doing this uber competitive, like always playing like standard, historic, you know, because there are people that like Brawl a ton and like I invited you guys to the Gladiator Discord. I'm pretty sure. Have you been over there at all?
Yeah, I haven't
I've
gotten a
chatted
chance to
around,
play anything.
I actually played a couple of Brawl matches with somebody from there. I was up at
Yeah.
4 o'clock in the morning, as I usually am, and I was like, "Anybody want to play Brawl?" And like 9 people messaged back immediately. It was beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, that format is fantastic. I played actually some of my first articles I've written are for the Gladiator format, so I enjoy it a bunch. So I'm totally down to run something through there. But we'll have
Yeah.
to wait and see. And like I said, totally up to votes. While I don't want to run constructed all the time, if there is not much interest in running singleton formats, I will cut it and maybe sprinkle it. But you know, just that's just something to think about for the future. Uh, like I said, view listeners, just message us. That's the best thing I can tell you right now. Message us, comments, questions, concerns about it, and we'll all try to answer it the best possible.
Yep, and also too, one other thing before I forget about it as well too. For very least the constructed events and potentially for the brawl events, we are in the process of trying to partner up with either like an LGS or some sponsors to kind of help out with some prize support. So if there is some prize support in that, there may be an entry fee, most likely for the constructed events only. The singleton tournaments we might just do for free, either with no prize or very small prize or something like that. But for the very least, the constructed events may have some entry fees or tournaments and prize support kind of to go along with it. So you get a little bit out of it as well, too. So it kind of is a nice little thing there. And in addition to either messaging either Braxton or the 10th Street Twitter accounts, you can also join the Discord server, which we will have linked in the description below. You can join in the Discord, hang out with us, come chat with us, and throw some ideas around if this is something that's really interesting to you. We'd love to field any and all ideas that you guys have, and just to help try to make this thing a little bit better for all of you guys competing in it and participating. So cool. Any last minute closing thoughts? Anything you guys wanted to hit on real quick?
Nothing for me, at least. I mean, I presume even though we're a small crew, we still want to do the what are we writing this week?
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah, I guess go down the list here. Braxton, what are you writing this week?
I mean, since I brought it up, I'll start it. I'm going to kind of, because like in my free time, I've been watching. I don't know if you guys ever do this. I've been watching a lot of old Pro Tours. In fact, I just got done watching Pro Tour 2015, Magic 2015, because that is where Ivan Flock played the old Sphinx's Rev Elixir of Immortality Blue-White control deck.
I just watched that finals match a couple days ago.
I love it. I've probably watched that match in total probably 10 times since 2015, easily. that's where I fell in love with blue white control. And you can't really do that right now in standard. You get real outvalued by the by just Uros and Nissa. Like they all require 2-for-1s, and that's the most frustrating thing ever. So I'm gonna be kind of, maybe I'll title it Deer Wizards. I don't know. Just kind of wanting the ability to play those old style control decks again. And it doesn't even have to be dominant. I just want it to be viable. Honestly, that's really all I'm asking for, and I don't think that's too much to ask.
Cool. Pokey, what about you, man? What do you got going on? What are you gonna be writing about?
This week, I have. I think my worst problem is I have a couple of articles to write, and then I always never know how I want to release them. I know I touched a little bit last week on my article about my intro to Magic and my kind of earlier days and what I kind of played. I think I might just do a. I believe the correct word is synopsis. Don't quote me on it. Of my time in Magic. I know we haven't exactly done intros here, outside of generally speaking to each other about Magic. So I think this week's article that I'll have up on Sunday will be my intro to Magic and my journey from playing 75 card piles to how my philosophies shape more of what I like to play.
Okay, cool. Right on. That sounds like a really interesting.
I'm gonna be conceited and contribute nothing to the podcast and just write about me. That's the article. That's
Yeah.
it. Zero content, all pokey poke.
Hey, you know what? I think honestly, when we were going through and kind of like thinking about articles, that wasn't even something that ever crossed my mind to write. It was kind of like a bio, or whatever, or like a backstory, like a origin story kind of thing, right? Like I never thought about that. So it's kind of an interesting article choice, and probably something that we should all honestly do. I think I might even do that this week. But I think also in addition, I know my article is is for tomorrow. My article, I'm gonna just talk about kind of the green black cocoa list. I'm gonna talk about Collected Company kind of a little bit more, and just kind of thinking about some of the areas where Collected Company can be very, very powerful, because I think that assuming Goblins doesn't take over the historic format, Collected Company can be a very powerful piece to push through some more aggressive threats, and just a way to kind of stick ahead on board. And against, I think it's potential that like control can come back up into historic as well too, with kind of field gone, because field really preyed on the slow decks. So with that gone, it might be possible that like blue white control may have a place again. So playing Collected Company may be a way to kind of get yourself through some of that stuff. So I'm going to talk about Collected Company, and particularly, like I said, the green black and the Stompy, and then the Gruul Cocoa list that I've been playing. I'll be highlighting on those, but I'll probably also put out like a bio type article at some point this week as well too. So also to make sure to check out as well, tomorrow, I believe, tomorrow we also have on the YouTube channel, we have John Ramos's video. He has a video coming about Niv Mizzet Curiosity combo in Historic as well. Now that Field of the Dead is gone, he thinks that's the way to go, being combo oriented and running through people with a Splinter Twin kill is the way to go. And so he's going to have a video on that. Otherwise, I think as this week, other videos we may end up doing, I think Shinogi might have something come up for something commander related. It depends. He's kind of also in the midst of hurricane evacuation at the moment, which is probably, I think, also why he couldn't make it tonight. He's kind of getting himself ready. He has to leave his place tomorrow. So he may or may not have that video, but in any event, we all might put up something else for video content on the YouTube as well. So make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel for that. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, 10th Street News, for announcements on articles and content from YouTube as well. Join our Discord server, like I said, for that link is down in the description below, as well as consider subscribing to our Patreon, becoming a patron of our content. We have some really cool tiers up there, including, like we had touched on a few podcasts ago, potentially being on either an episode of the podcast or our upcoming Commander series. So, consider subbing to the Patreon as well. And otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the 10th Street Journal podcast. We will see you guys in the next episode.